Josh Reynolds is no longer a Bronco. Why did the Broncos make that decision? Who's going to replace him? Plus, is Courtland Sutton one of the 10 best receivers in the NFL? We're digging into all of that, plus the inside scoop on today's episode of the DNVR Broncos podcast. Welcome into the DNVR Broncos podcast presented by Bet365. We're live from the Toyota Lounge. And today, there's a lot to talk about. I'm excited. Zach isn't here, unfortunately, which means we won't get all of his thoughts on Josh Reynolds not being here, but we do have Super Bowl 50 champion Todd Davis. I'm Henry Chisholm. How's it going, Todd?
Feeling good. It's a good day. It's Wednesday. This week is going by fast, man.
It has.
Ready to, get back to the weekend.
I woke up. I blew like $1,000 on Kendrick Lamar tickets.
Oh, he's coming to Denver?
He isn't. So it's like the first ever, I think it's the first rapper ever to have like a full stadium tour. Mm-hmm. And he skipped Denver, which sucks. But he's starting the tour in Minneapolis, where my girlfriend's from. So we're going up there for that.
Oh, that would be cool.
It would be cool.
Why he skipped Denver?
I don't know.
He's performed here before, though.
He has, yeah. It's kind of disappointing because seeing him at Mile High would have been pretty cool.
You think he can pack out Mile High?
I mean, if he can pack out, like, because what? It's like the football stadium there,
He's
you know?
playing at the...
Where you played.
No, that's crazy.
It is crazy.
Oh, yeah, that'd be dope.
No, it's going to be awesome. But now I'm going to be eating, like, ramen and stuff for a few weeks to make up for it. Is what it is.
I just got to have some bets hit.
Yeah.
Shout out Bet365.
They actually did last night. I actually made a stupid bet last night. I put too much on it. But it was like the end of the weekend, like... Might as well see what happens. But I took the Avs money line and the Nuggets.
It was not the weekend.
Yeah, it was just the
that
middle
is
of
true.
the week.
It did kind of linger. But I was like, I might as well. I'm just gonna sit here because I was so tired because we had to go to the game Monday night, and so I didn't get home until like 2.
Yeah.
And so when we were done with the show and like TSP and all that stuff, I took a nap and knew I was just sitting there and watching the Avs and Nuggets because they're at 5 and 8. So that was just gonna be my whole night. And Avs went down 4-0 in the first period, came back and won. It was electric. And then the Nuggets came back to beat the Warriors, which was also awesome. So, paid for some of the tickets.
Money. Yeah.
Got half of them paid. Cool. Well, that's my life update. Another life update for Josh Reynolds, and it's a big one. He's no longer a Bronco. The Broncos had until today to activate him from IR. So the way that works is you put a guy on IR, he has to sit out at least 4 weeks, and then he can return to practice. And once you bring him back to practice, you have 21 days to activate him, put him back on the active roster. Otherwise, you put him on IR for the rest of the season. So today was the day where they had to decide either put him on IR, he can't play the rest of the year, or put him on the active roster, which means cutting somebody. And you look at kind of the bottom of the roster, you're looking at maybe like Lavelle Bailey, for example, an undrafted guy. Could you get him through the practice squad? Broncos decided not to take that risk and probably did right by Josh because his salary is fully guaranteed for this year. Let him go try to find somewhere he can play the rest of the season. What's your initial reaction to that news?
First thought is like, dang, I wish we would have kept Tim Patrick. Like,
I know
that was like, the position battle a little bit there. And they had just brought Josh in. They're expecting good things. It's unfortunate that he was in that incident, that shooting.
Yeah.
I think that's what really kind of threw things off track because I think he would still be a member of the team if not.
Yeah.
But you're always like, dang, if we would have kept Tim Patrick, you never know.
Yeah. It's interesting. Contract-wise, so he was on a 2-year, $9 million contract. This year, so for veterans, if you make the team week 1, your salary is guaranteed for the full season. And as a veteran, that means that the $4.3 million he was due this year is fully guaranteed. You're about 3/4 of the way through the season, which means there's probably about $1 million left unpaid. Mm-hmm. So he'll get that money regardless. So that's kind of the salary cap implication. Next year was not guaranteed, so the Broncos don't have any kind of lingering effects there. Although, accounting wise, some of this year's money will be accounted for next year. There's no new money coming to him outside of that $1 million they still owe for the last month. It's interesting you brought up Tim Patrick because it seems like every time I watch the Lions, he's making a big play. Like Thanksgiving, he had I think it was like 2 big catches. I think both over the middle. I think one was maybe a 3rd down. The other one went for 20-something yards. That'd be a really nice piece to have right now.
Yep, it would have been nice. You think the Lions will pick him up, Josh Reynolds?
Wow. That'd be interesting. I'm not sure, because like Khalif Raymond is still there.
Yep.
He's got to be like
Khalif.
their 4th or 5th receiver.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who else would be down there at the bottom, but it's a tough spot.
Receivers.
It's a tough spot for the Broncos because there's the 53-man roster pinch where you have to decide. Like they could have put Riley on injured reserve and bought themselves another 4 weeks. And it's good news they decided not to do that. Again, like a Lavelle Bailey could go to clear space, but there's also the game day roster decisions. Because if you want to put Josh Reynolds in your like game day actives, like your 46 players, you'd probably have to take one of these receivers off the field. So you're looking at Troy Franklin, Lil Jordan Humphrey, who that'd probably be the fan choice, but at the same time, he does something those other guys don't. Devon Bailey, at this point, you're not doing that. So it's weird to me because Reynolds was probably your 3rd best receiver at worst.
When healthy.
But you still just can't really justify taking those opportunities away from the young guys.
Yeah, I just think, we're so far into the season, and I think you're playing him now to see if you want him to be here next year.
Yeah.
And I just feel like you kind of have already found some pieces that you want to be here next year, and it's not necessary to have him play. He hasn't done enough throughout the season, even when he was in the games, to say he could be a piece for us moving forward. So I think because of those 2 situations, it's just best to kind of move on and,
It's tough for me. It's nice that at this point in the year you have the young guys who have had a few months to develop and kind of grow into their roles, but also, you're a month away from a playoff game, and to not just keep the guys who've been in those situations before, and there's a chance that you're going to miss having a Josh Reynolds if you wind up going to the playoffs.
But when Bo has been at his best, Josh was not a part of the equation.
That is
like
true.
Everything that the team has done over the last month, Josh has been out, and Bo's been his best self, the last month, 2 months.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if, Josh has played for the last 2 months.
No.
It feels like he hasn't.
No. It's been at least 7 weeks.
Yeah. So
it might be more.
As far as the team success, like he just hasn't been a part of it enough to say that he would be beneficial to have even if we do make the playoffs.
Yeah. No, I definitely feel that. I think, real quick, so Courtland Sutton has the most receiving yards per game of any Bronco, as you'd expect.
Yes.
Number 2, so he's at 65.1 per game. Devon Bailey is at 41.9. Josh Reynolds is at 36.6. And then you have that drop off to like Mims is at 20.5. Lil Jordan's at 20.5. And there is a significant gap between his production as like the number 3 and those other guys.
Well, I also feel like those other guys really didn't play much, to be honest. Like
it counts as a game played when you're in there for like 3 snaps.
Yeah, I think Marvin Mims started getting utilized maybe 3 games ago. So, I mean, his first 10 games, you can kind of wipe those off the board and kind of divide up his average by 3, and I'm sure it would be a really good number at this point. Vele was injured. And I think he's used a lot, but he's used more and more in the ways that they need to use him. So if it was all really shaken out and we really saw, how often they played on offense versus how often he played on offense when he was in the game, I'm sure these young guys are actually playing at a much higher level than he is right now.
Yeah. I think the reason I thought he was going to come back was in part just Levi Wallace struggling the way he did. Because you're
what is it? But he don't play defense.
I know, but then there's one of your spots on the roster at the very least.
No, you still need a DB.
If you waived Levi Wallace at this point with the idea of putting him on the practice squad, you can even activate him on game days if you want. I don't think after that game any team is claiming him.
No, they're not. But you still need a DB.
You could put him on the practice squad.
And then you need somebody elevated for games because with
Probably
Riley out, Chris Abrams-Drain, first time active, he had to play. He's still young. He's still a rookie. And, we're still going to need DBs, gunners on special teams. Like,
Yeah.
I think there's still a DB spot that would need to be had if he was gone.
Yeah. Plus, I brought this up in the press box after the game, and one of the points they made was that you don't want to embarrass a veteran like that. Like saying we can get you to the practice squad after your horrible game. And that's, I get that. But definitely interesting news. Before we hit this first break and jump into some Courtland Sutton stuff, I'm curious what you think is, like, going into next year, what's the receiver rotation? If you had to predict it, because you have all this entire group under contract for next year.
Mm-hmm.
Courtland, Mims, Devon, like they're all back. Like what is the hierarchy? And also, like, is there somebody that they're going to add to the group, do you think, to take it to the next level, or do you think they have what they need?
No, I think they still add somebody. With us, a really good slot receiver. I think a lot of the guys we have right now do best on the outside. I mean, Marvin Mims can play inside, but he's more of a deep threat from the inside. He's not like that shifty, get open in the middle of the field player. So I think they still add somebody. But no matter what, Courtland Sutton's your number one receiver.
Yep.
I think Devon Vele is your number 2 true receiver. And I think Marvin Mims is like kind of tied with Devon Vele for 2, maybe like 2.5, but then does more of the gadget stuff.
Yeah.
Gets into the backfield, does some of the trick plays type stuff. So that's what I'm seeing for the wide receiver group next year.
Yeah. Yeah. All of a sudden, without Josh, the depth doesn't feel quite the same as it did. Like, because you just have that veteran there. But I agree. I think that's probably how it shakes out. I'm just curious how much they're willing to invest in adding another receiver. Because to me, you're at the point where, like, if you can add somebody who's awesome, like,
and young,
yeah, exactly, like one of the, let's say, 25 best receivers in the NFL, then all of a sudden you see how that elevates the group. If you wind up going for a guy, Josh Reynolds, or maybe even like somebody you invest a little bit more in, I could see how that would just make your receiver room a little bit more of a mess, which it kind of was with Reynolds here, which is why he's gone. So I think to add somebody, you really have to find somebody who's willing to either spend a lot of money on or use a high draft pick on. I'm curious to see how that shakes out. We're going to jump into Courtland Sutton here in a second. But first, want to give a shout out to some of our friends, starting with Bet365. I mentioned earlier, it was a fun night. That Avs comeback. Usually my strategy is like a double down. So if you make whatever your bet is, $10 bet on the Avs to win the game, then they go down 1-0, then I'll do like another 10, and then it gives you a little bit better odds. Yesterday I decided not to, and it was one of the times when you really should have, because that game was insane, scoring 5 straight goals and coming back and winning. And then you had the Nuggets too, who battled without Nikola for I think they were in minus 19 in the 8 minutes he didn't play last night, and squeaked out a win anyway. So that was a lot of fun. Bet365 makes sports a lot more fun. And they're now an official partner of both the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche, which means that you can make money off of those teams. Well, also they're a partner of them, which is pretty cool. Every day they have a bunch of boosts. Over 10,000 boosts every month. We have our own custom DNVR boost, especially for Broncos games. And right now, you can get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Just sign up, use the code DNVR365, deposit $10, place bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. Must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or somebody you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
And shout out to our friends over at Toyota. You guys know we come live to you every day from the Toyota Lounge that we love so much. But what we love more than the Toyota Lounge is the Toyota vehicles, specifically their trucks, their crossovers, their cars. They have over 17 models all available with all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. So it's perfect for the snow, the winter that's coming, and the rocky roads that are here. So make sure you check out Toyota, and specifically a Toyota store near you. You can visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. The Auto Nation, Toyota, Arapahoe, and Centennial. the Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson's Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson's Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota, the official vehicle of the DNVR.
All right. Back into the DNVR Broncos podcast presented by Bet365. Before we get to the inside scoop, you brought this up yesterday. Where does Courtland Sutton rank among NFL receivers? And I think it's kind of a fun game. So let's just start at the top of this list.
And we're going to see okay, go ahead.
Yeah. I think we'll just start with the receiving leaders in the NFL. And we'll say better or worse than Courtland Sutton, and just kind of see how far down the list we go. Pretty crazy. You know who leads the NFL in receptions? 84 of them.
CeeDee Lamb.
No, wrong position.
Oh, Brock Bowers.
Brock Bowers, yeah. That's just ridiculous. You open it, it's Brock Bowers. Okay.
Better. Done. The game's over.
The game's over. First in receiving yards, 1,142 already, Jamar Chase.
Different. I'm going to say different.
Different. Oh, wow. Not even better. We're already pushing it. Justin Jefferson, 1038.
Different.
Okay. I think we know what that means. Terry McLaurin, 896.
Yeah, I feel like he could be better than Terry McLaurin.
I'm kind of right there with you.
Yeah.
I'm not totally convinced. I want to look back these past couple of years. So 1,002 yards last year, played every game. 1,191 the year before, played every game. 1,053 the year before, played every game. 1,118 the year before, missed a game. So he's just over 1,000 basically every year. I would say the Commanders have had better quarterbacks than the Broncos.
I would say so.
Yeah. They haven't had great quarterbacks, but, it's still better than what the Broncos rolled out there. I'll go tie. If you want to say better, I'm not going to argue with you.
Yep. I'll say better. Who's next?
It is...
And these are just receiving leaders this year, right?
Just this year, yep. Yeah. It's actually Bowers next. We'll skip that. CeeDee Lamb, 880.
Not yet.
I agree.
Yeah.
Next up, tied with CeeDee at 880, Jerry Jeudy.
I'm gonna say better.
Yeah.
When I say better, I'm saying Courtland's better, right?
Yeah. Courtland's better. I agree. I mean, it's just so hard after that game. 1 week ago, I would have said it's absolutely Courtland.
Uh-huh.
After watching him do what he did, like the 227 or whatever, but I'll agree.
You buy the hype, man. That was one game.
I know,
is it like the peak, or are you looking at like the whole season?
He was
that was
open on other
game.
plays too.
You said what?
He was open on other plays too.
Yeah, he was.
863 for Zay Flowers.
Zay Flowers, he's good, but I think Courtland's better.
I'd agree. I'd take Court over Zay Flowers. He just fits that offense so well.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the speed, and he plays his role well. George Pickens, 850.
Probably not.
Yeah?
I'd probably say Pickens is a little better.
Yeah. You got to give Court credit for... I think it's close enough that the locker room presence and the not getting called for penalties and the blocking on the running plays...
Yeah.
Give Court credit for that.
I mean,
but if you're just talking pure catching the football, it's Pickens.
The thing is that Pickens is also doing it with Russell Wilson, so like that's a huge handicap for him.
Yeah.
But Courtland did it with Russell Wilson too, though.
Yeah.
He had 10 touchdowns.
10 touchdowns.
I don't know how many yards he had, though, for this season.
I mean, probably about what Pickens is at right now. Next up, Courtland Sutton, 846, number 9 in the NFL.
So he could have been bumped up at least 3 spots, I think we said, as far as like, far as who's the best right now as far as receiving leaders.
Yeah. Nico Collins right behind him at 832. Still Court.
Yeah, because Nico's good, but he was good because of the quarterback he got.
Also
he
only played 8 games.
Yeah, he wasn't balling before that.
Yeah. No, I agree. You put Court in Nico's spot, it's a wash at worst.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson Smith and Jigba. That's crazy. Most receiving yards of any of those Seahawks receivers.
I think Courtland's better. Yeah. I like him, though. I liked him coming out of college.
He was a beast. That Rose Bowl he had against Utah.
Oh, yeah, he was going crazy.
It was insane.
Yeah.
That's one of the best games I've seen from a receiver. Added a new one to the list on Monday. Lad McConkey from the Chargers.
Heck no.
Yeah, I agree. Would be a great fit. That's what the Broncos are missing, but no. Drake London.
Not this year.
Not yet. A.J. Brown.
AJ Brown's nice.
He is.
AJ Brown's
He is.
nice.
It's cool that Court's in front of him this year, and if you keep doing that, then maybe it changes, but no. It is A.J. Brown. Brian Thomas, the rookie.
Yeah, Court's better.
Still Court, yeah. Garrett Wilson.
How far are we getting down this list now?
I'm just
man? I feel like we
curious,
gotta be
I'm
at
just
like
curious.
20 now.
Well, okay, here,
We've already proved that he was better than
yeah.
9 in the top 10.
I'll just hit a couple more. At 19, you've got DK Metcalf.
He's 19. Why are we even bringing him into the conversation?
Fair enough. 27, you've got Tyreek Hill.
He's 27.
There we go. Okay, we're not even. Jalen Waddle at 36.
He's 36.
T. Higgins at 42.
He's 42. I'm just
There we
going to
go.
call the
Okay,
number out.
Devontae Adams,
Like,
43.
he's
There we
43.
go with the numbers. Okay, I like it. I want to do this same thing, but with a list of free agent receivers from this upcoming season, because that's where the Broncos kind of have their opportunity to make a change.
But I don't think they need to replace Courtland. They just need to add one more piece.
I totally agree, but I
Okay.
think maybe people have changed their tune a bit, but there have definitely been fans who say you move off of Court or whatever. But Courtland Sutton, you're going to pay him $50.5 million next year. It's not guaranteed, so you have flexibility. Stephon Diggs, currently making $22.5 million. Would you take Court or would you take Stephon Diggs?
Didn't Stephon Diggs just get injured?
He got injured, plus he's fussy.
He's fussy. That's funny. What did he do? He tore his Achilles or he tore ACL?
Was it ACL?
Takes a long time to heal from those. And I just don't know if that energy is the energy I need in my locker
I
room
agree.
right now.
He also
I don't
just
think he's a
turned
bad
31.
guy, but there definitely was a little bit of something with him and Josh Allen.
Did you play with him in Minnesota? Okay.
No, he was already gone.
Okay. Oh yeah, because Justin Jefferson. That's the
Yeah.
pick they used. Yeah, it seems like everywhere he's gone, the 3 stops now, there's always something. And Court had a catch with no games where he was smiling after, or a game with no catches where he was smiling afterward because they won. So I'd take Court over Stephon Diggs. T. Higgins.
I'm not doing anything with Court but re-signing him and bringing somebody in. So if we can have a conversation about adding somebody to the receiver room, but I'm not talking about getting rid of Court.
Okay.
It makes no sense.
You keep Court over T. Higgins then?
Yeah, you have a rookie receiver. He has a favorite target.
Yep.
They have continuity. Like, why change that out for next year? Like, I don't think that makes sense.
Yeah.
So keep Court. Would I love to add T. Higgins? Yeah, bring him on.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think I'm honestly in the same spot. And then when you factor in money, like you can either have Court for $15 million or T. Higgins for $30. Obviously, the answer is Court.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're crazy. I think I'd rather, from a Broncos perspective, maybe not for every team, have Courtland Sutton over T. Higgins next year. Amari Cooper.
I like him. He's getting kind of old though.
He is. He'll be.
He's
I think
traveling around a
31
little
when the
bit.
season starts.
He's traveling around a little bit. He's at the Bills right now.
Yeah.
They might re-sign him though. It depends on how the season goes. If they were able to win a Super Bowl like they think they can. Yeah, he's a salty vet. I would bring him on. Yeah.
Yeah. Chris Godwin, also coming off an injury, but that's why he might be affordable.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not.
Especially because if he's taking a discount, he's probably taking a discount to stay in Tampa where things have been working for him.
Yeah.
There's no reason to leave if you're not maximizing. Deontay Johnson's an interesting one. He was like a big name in the offseason, a potential addition for other teams, and then they didn't even play him last week. The Ravens didn't. So maybe he gets back to being a 1,000-yard receiver, but this is looking like it's going to be his worst season. He can't even get on the field.
Yeah, it's tough.
I'll just list off a couple more of these. DeAndre Hopkins is going to be out there. Mike Williams, KJ Osborne, your guy. DJ
Shout out
Shark,
to KJ.
Odell Beckham. KJ actually could be a decent fit for that slot guy. He's maybe in that tier where you just have like 5 guys there, and it makes more of a mess than like a hierarchy that I could see.
I don't know
somebody's
anybody
getting
in the
left
slot
out.
though. There's nobody in the
Really?
slot right now. Who
Okay.
plays? Who's a good slot receiver?
Honestly, like a combination of like Vele and Mims, but they do different things. Neither is like a true slot. but
Yeah,
you kinda patch
nobody's
in between
like
them.
just
yeah.
mismatch with
Michael Bandy.
There's nobody that can just get open quick, 5 to 7 yards, and you know what I'm saying. Like, we don't have that person. So
Yeah. Yeah.
not that our guys aren't good in the slot. They're just not running like option routes. A lot of option routes, a lot of slot receivers. We don't see
Yeah.
that right now.
Yeah. Not a great receiver class. I think we're at the point now where the best receivers are just getting re-signed. Like teams are more than willing just to pay to keep whoever. There aren't
Cheaper to keep
many big names, but especially this year, all the guys who you thought would be exciting or kind of having down years or getting hurt.
What about Elijah Moore?
He had 111 on us this week.
He did.
I like Elijah Moore.
He did. No, he's good. He's fast. Play from the slot. He looked like Jerry. It was kind of confusing a couple times. Maybe not on TV, but like the 3 and the 8 were tricky. Cool. We've got the inside scoop coming up next.
Scoop it up.
Let's scoop it up. First, though, gotta give a shout out to Live Well. Live Well strives to make cannabis accessible to all. And they do that because they believe that everyone deserves to live well. They have 25 convenient Colorado dispensary locations with a premium selection and expert service that awaits you. Their knowledgeable, supportive staff are here to help you on your journey. Visit a Live Well dispensary to learn more about their wide selection of cannabis flower, edibles, concentrates, and more. Live Well proudly offers a price match guarantee that means that you get the best value by matching local competitors' prices on eligible products. Visit livewell.com today to reserve your products online for a quick in-store pickup, or you can simply stop by because they can't wait to answer all of your questions about cannabis. Mention the code DNVR25 in store. Receive 25% off one regular price item. Restrictions apply.
Shout out to our friends over at Westera Credit Union. You guys know that Westera Credit Union was founded here in 1934. And they have 9 locations in the Denver metro area. And right now, they have something special for you guys. So it's season greetings from Westera Credit Union. This holiday season, from November 13th through December 31st, they want to give your wallet a gift. New customers who open a Smart Money checking or a Money Market Select account will get $100 on January 2nd. All you have to do is join. Open one of those new accounts, enroll in digital banking, and you're on your way to get $100. Cha-ching. Sounds like easy money to me. You can visit westeracu.com/become-a-member to learn more. Membership eligibility required, insured by the NCUA. Restrictions and conditions apply.
All right. Back to the DNVR Broncos podcast presented by Bet365. Inside scoop time.
Well,
best time of the week. I'm curious what you picked out to show us today, Todd. How many plays do we have?
Well, the play's kind of malfunctioned.
Oh, no.
We had a good amount of plays.
A good amount.
Yeah. How
All
many?
Right. 9.
Nueve. Perfect.
Here gets
Thank
it.
You.
All right. Let's jump in here with the first play.
All right, let's do it. All right, so the very first play, prior to this picture, you see, a rush front here for the Cleveland Browns, and Bo Nix does a great job of pointing out, this man on the line of scrimmage, essentially telling the O-line, we're going to slide this direction. So he knows that because of this look right here, if anybody comes hot off this side of the line of scrimmage, he has to be prepared to evade that guy or make that guy miss because his line is sliding the opposite way. So Bo Nix does a great job dropping in the pocket and being able to see this defender rushing. So he immediately scrambles away from where this defender is coming, and it allows for his O-lineman to continue to slide the direction that they wanted to go and that, they talked about before the play, and he's able to do a nice job of getting this ball to Vele. Feet not set, on the run, scrambling to his right. He does a great job of putting this ball only where his receiver can catch it. It was a tough catch from Vele, but you would much rather have a ball a little bit lower scrambling than you want, it's sailing and being high and being anybody's to get. So I thought this was a great job, great throw, great catch, and they're really working well together.
Should Adam Troutman have been able to get his hands on that number 29 on the edge?
Well, what you see right here, his first responsibility is to slide with the offensive line. And so what they did is they dropped 2 defensive linemen out. So in all actuality, his man would have been probably right here with everybody blocking the guys if everybody rushed. Okay. But because, they dropped out, he can try and turn back late, but if he doesn't get him, that's not his fault because he has to secure his first job first.
Okay, cool.
All right, next one. This is just another good job of Bo kind of, filling the pocket and having good pocket awareness. You get a double linebacker blitz right here. So this first linebacker, it's a cross, but they're doing it to pick off the center or the running back. So he's going to be told to come inside, and the second linebacker is going to wrap around, so that they're hoping that the center either gets caught up on this linebacker or Javonte doesn't know which one to choose and allows for one of these guys to come free. So just like they wanted, the center's not able to come around and get the second guy because Javonte has this linebacker blitzing man-to-man. And so, we got a free rusher on Bo, but Bo doesn't panic. He doesn't feel under pressure. He doesn't seem stressed. He just gently slides to the left side of the pocket and is able to put together a good throw to Nate Atkins, our tight end. And I don't know if you guys can see it, but this is Myles Garrett here in coverage. If we got Nate Atkins versus Myles Garrett, at least in the passing game, I'm taking it every time. And this was easy money and a good throw and good pocket presence by Bo Nix.
Yeah. Myles Garrett looks lost there.
Yeah.
He should be outside, right?
Yeah, he should definitely be on number 2, much tighter than he is.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah. But when you lead the league in sacks, can't do everything, right?
He's no Nick Bonito who can drop into coverage. And
He's no Nick Bonito.
Yeah.
All right, speaking of Nick Bonito, this is his sack right here. So we got empty. I love
this one.
3x2. Nick Bonito does a great job of sifting through his responsibilities. So you're going to get a vertical route here and what we call a China. So 2 goes vertical, 1 comes in. So Nick is going to have number 2 because they're playing quarters, and Cody's going to be off number 3. But Nick does a great job of continuing to sift through the wide receivers and their routes. So the first one, he goes up. Number 2's going to come in. Nick's going to come and guard his man, which he's supposed to do. But as time goes on, this guy kind of carries across the field. This guy kind of comes and sits down, which becomes his new number 2. And Nick does a great job of jumping in front of the route. He's watching Jameis Winston the entire time. He does a great job of, stealing this ball because in all actuality, they should probably be here. He should probably be here, and Cody should be pushing to where they can bracket this tackle, or they could, he can get on forward if he needs to. But, if you're going to take a shot, you got to make the play. And Nick Bonito definitely made the play right here, jumping in front of the ball, reading Jameis Winston's eyes. And that's all him. That's not scheme. That's not a rush sack. That's all Nick Bonito making this play happen. So it was good by him.
He said after the game they used to play safety.
Oh. Back in the day?
Yeah, which is kind of interesting because there's some of those guys who, like Isaiah Simmons. When he gets drafted, it's like, well, he's like a first-round pick as an edge rusher. He's a first-round pick as a linebacker. He's a first-round pick as a safety. And then things didn't really work out because he wound up being a bit of a tweener. But it is fun to have those guys. And obviously with Nick, you want him getting after the quarterback. But the fact that you can drop him out, you can get kind of creative with him.
I think that's why it's so important, to play different positions while you're young and also different sports. There's a lot of things you learn in basketball about, guarding a man one-on-one, or also being able to get open one-on-one, being able to move your hips. But all that stuff kind of goes into play. Like once you get into the league, you kind of remember certain things that you were taught at different positions that kind of help you be better at your, one and only position.
It's also kind of a crazy look on a first down because that's Cooper up on the other side. Yeah. So they come out in a base defense because they're going up against 12 personnel.
For sure.
But then go empty. And so you wind up with like the 3-man rush. They're basically begging you to make your linebackers cover. Like that's the goal of the play for the Browns, is to make the Broncos linebackers cover. And for Nick Bonito to burn him on that, they wanted to pick on him in particular. That's what this was all about.
Yeah, they wanted to pick on the linebackers right here. But Nick Bonito does a great job. And he makes a big play, so I think it's important to be highlighted. He keeps making them. Yeah. He keeps making them, man. He's going to get a huge bag. So
he really is.
Hopefully that happens soon. All right, this is the 93-yard bomb to Marvin Mims. So you got great play recognition right here from Bo Nix. These safeties are playing in cover 2, so each safety is responsible for their half of the field, and this middle linebacker has to cover everything basically in between the hashes because these corners have the flats. So if this guy goes vertical, this safety has him, and if this guy goes vertical, okay, we need the linebacker to go and take him and help. So, very clean pocket by our offensive line. I got to give them credit. I thought Bolsey did a great job against Myles Garrett the entire night. And just our offensive line as a whole is doing a great job stopping the pass rushers for the Cleveland Browns. But this was a great throw. This is the problem right here. You have a wide receiver, arguably the fastest man on our team, trying to be covered by a linebacker. And so that's just never going to happen. And so the reason why this safety doesn't make the play is he's responsible for basically everything outside the hashes. So as soon as this ball is thrown, he has to sprint and try to make a play on the ball because it's not his responsibility.
Came really close, too.
Came very close.
He's a good player.
Almost too close. But there was a great throw by Bo Nix. He's able to get it into the pocket. And Marvin Mims, he makes a great catch and finds a way to get to the end zone. This was a huge play and a huge momentum boost for the Denver Broncos.
Yeah. First of all, like Ivan says, the balls to attempt that throw. Like that's kind of been the cojones. Yes, the big take on like Twitter, for example, is again like crazy decision because it's tight coverage and all those sorts of things. It's not supposed to be tight coverage though. No, you would think that with Denzel Ward playing the half that would be wide open when he throws the ball.
He has to throw that.
Yeah.
Like as soon as the safety splits, like we want to hit Marvin Mims. Yeah. Like even if it's picked off, Sean's like, throw that ball.
Yes.
Like 10 out of 10 times, throw that ball in cover 2 every single time. So like, yes, he has big balls to make that throw, but that's 100% what he's coached to do.
Yeah.
Like that's the weakness of the defense. You have your fastest player on the field, throw it up there and see what happens.
And what Bo said after the game is that as soon as he saw the linebacker flip his hips, that's when he knew because the Browns only happens when they play the Tampa 2.
In cover 2 is the only time that you flip your hips because most of the time your drop is based off of staying square and getting depth. But in cover 2, you got to turn to speed and be ready to run with that guy up the middle. So they actually tell you to turn your hips so that you can get ready to go. And I know that linebacker, he should have backed up probably the 7 yards team who was at number 2. But unfortunate for them and lucky for us, he didn't do so.
Impressive for Bo to make that read there? Or is that a pretty basic, like you run this play, what you're looking for is whether this is the Tampa 2 that they like to run?
I think it's a good play call, good timing.
Okay.
Like that's what you want. When you design that play, you hope they're in cover 2.
Okay.
And if it's not, then but Mims is your first read.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I think it was a good play by Bo, but also just great timing for the play call. All right, this is my guy J-Mac right here. You know, he had a lot of great plays in this game. PBUs, pick sixes, but this is one of my favorite because this is big boy football right here. J-Mac right here, 3rd and 1. Everybody thinks it's going to be a run, and it ends up being a run. But this is like man-to-man coverage, and the play that they're about to run right here is a toss, and he's already out-leveraged right now. So this receiver's responsibility is to come and crack down on J-Mac so that they can get the edge. Well, J-Mac bullies him and captures the edge. Then he goes one-on-one with the tackle. That's 320 versus 180. Like,
get shoved, like almost knocked off his feet.
This is big boy football. Like this play for them should have 100% worked.
Oh yeah,
very easily. Like if they're able to capture this edge, you know, the next guy up is 7 yards deep. My bad, like 4 yards deep. Like they're getting the first down. But J-Mac takes on the receiver, he takes on the tackle, and then proceeds to throw this 210-pound running back out the club. He does a great job of pushing him laterally, not allowing him to get any yards, and throws him right out of bounds before the 3rd down. And this was very important. I mean, 25-31, it's a very close game. You know, the defense never really stopped them the entire game. Like they were able to move the ball with some type of ease every single quarter. This was a very big play before the 4th quarter that set the Broncos up to extend their lead.
Yeah. No, I mean he must have realized, like pre-snap, that there's a potential for the crack block because it looks like it should be wide open there. So part of that is knowing beforehand to be aware of that,
yes,
and then to be able to get over the top and like physically make the play is also impressive. I think the other thing this makes me think is, you know, we talked a little bit yesterday about potentially, no, maybe I was with Dre. It'd be nice if you had a 3rd safety so you could go big nickel. At this point, you don't really have a guy who you feel like is kind of the weapon who you move around or like cheating to dime or whatever you want to call it. With Jaquan, you kind of are always playing that big nickel type defense because he's so good in the running game that he can make plays like this that you wouldn't expect a corner to make.
Yeah, he definitely, and he's not a big guy.
No, he isn't actually.
Like he's 180 pounds. Like he's a small corner. You know, Pat is probably pushing 200.
Yeah.
Like he's not a big player, but he continues to make like these plays where he is physical in the running game, where he is dominant. He's a really good player, man. He's making some big time plays.
It's fun watching him and PJ too.
Yeah.
Like those two are first of all close because they're both undrafted guys who like kind of fought their way to this point. And honestly, you see it in the way they play too. Like they play like undrafted football players.
Gritty.
That's not like a knock or anything. That's like exactly gritty. But to see those two, especially like when PJ's down in the box on one side, you get Jaquan on the other. When they send those blitzes and stuff, the Broncos have an awesome secondary, and it's they don't get the credit they deserve.
Undrafted players never get the credit they deserve. So
That's
thank
true.
you, Hank, for
that is true.
pointing that out. I
That's
appreciate
true.
it.
I was also undrafted.
You were,
So
you were definitely.
it's just a little flex
I think
there.
you got to be undrafted. You were undrafted, but then you got to be signed to be say. I don't know. You were
Yeah,
undrafted.
I was
give it to you.
undrafted.
Yeah. All right. Here's my guy Nick Bonito. He had the pick early on. This time he's going to get a sack, and he's going to get a chip right here.
Yes.
From the tight end. But the great pass rushers, they don't try to fight the chip. Sometimes you just work with it. So he gets a chip from the outside. The tackle oversets him, knowing that he's getting help, and Nick Bonito just simply beats him with the up and under. Does a great job of getting back square, because sometimes when you come in, you can be too shallow, and that allows for Jameis Winston to get out the pocket. But he does a great job of squaring his body back up and being able to wrap Jameis Winston up. And then my guy Jonathan Cooper comes and assists, gives him a little bit of love, maybe a little bit of helmet to helmet. I didn't see anything, so we're all good there.
No, that's. I mean, we talked a little bit about it yesterday. Like, at some point, Nick Bonito is going to start getting double teams, and unless Zach Allen continues to do what he does, that's the kind of the tough part for defenses right now, is that you have multiple guys that you kind of like to send help to, and again, none of them is a Myles Garrett or J.J. Watt at this point where you have to do it, but guys who you'd like to. And at some point, Nick is going to get that more, and it's fun to see him make plays like this. Because I remember, like last year, he got off to the hot start. That game against Chicago, he had a great game. He had a couple of sacks, maybe 2.5, and I think all 3 were on those play actions where you're pulling a block. He's just too, he's just too fast for whoever they're pulling across. This isn't just like PFF, for example, they put stuff in like the true pass rush stats versus just like, hey, it's like a naked bootleg and you got to the guy. This isn't just like a true pass rush, like drop back, go get him. There's also a chip there. Like, this is really difficult to go get a sack. And it helps that number 65 guy, he doesn't look like he's great at football. But to be getting sacks on plays like this where you're not double teamed, but you're getting that chip is really impressive.
I mean, we talked about him yesterday. I mean, you said he was better than Pat Surtain, but
I said it'd be fun if he
just
was.
being an elite pass rusher, like, this is when you have to win. Like, when you're getting the chip, when everybody knows you're rushing, when they're double teaming you, if you can still find ways to win in those situations, then you're really elite. And right now he's doing it. A chip plus a tackle is almost like a double team. That's very hard to get home, and he found a way to do it. And he's kind of like slippery in his rush. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's able to bend and move and shift very quickly. So I think it's tough for O-linemen to block him right now.
Yeah, when you'd think like the speed obviously helps around the edge, but that one he gets that little shove in the back, and it's like a speed boost, and he just flies right inside the guy. Cool. We've got a few plays left. Before we hit those, though, gonna give a shout out to our friends at. Oh, I got you, Todd. Factor meal kits. Factor is awesome for a bunch of different reasons. Let's see. I might have to sign up for Factor again. I think about 1 year ago, I did Factor, which was incredible because they just send you a whole bunch of food, and it's all made by chefs. And they just package it, and then you can put it in the microwave, or I just always put it in the oven because it's an extra couple minutes. And I'm not sure there's actually a difference, but it feels like food should be better from the oven than the microwave. But it's all awesome stuff, and they have a whole bunch of different options. Whether you want the like low calorie stuff, the vegan, vegetarian, they have so many different options, and yeah, I mean, it's great stuff. It's great deals, and it's especially a great deal right now when you can use our code, which is
DNVR?
oh, it's a specific code. DNVR. Yeah. You get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month at factormeals.com. to get 50% off. Again, 20% off your next month. It's a great deal. It's great food. I'm actually thinking about getting right back into it. Truffle bar filet mignon, the garlic herb roasted barramundi. I actually don't know what that is, but it sounds great. Also, shout out to our friends over at Bird Call. Bird Call's great. I know everybody likes the chicken sandwich. They have good commercials too. I've started to enjoy those because they started doing ads with us, but they also, whenever you watch anything on TV, also Bird Call, and it really does make me hungry. They've got a whole bunch of the sides. What is it? I like the buffalo chicken sandwich. That one's my favorite.
That sounds fire.
Really can't go wrong though. Bird Call's the best, and you should go check them out. And you can do that if you live in the area. You can go over to
Bird Call.
Bird Call. Yeah, Bird Call is awesome.
Bird in a box.
Oh, there we go. Hash in Denver, Colorado, 8 restaurants across the Front Range. This week only 25% off any $15 order with the promo code DNVR at Bird Call. Eatbirdcall.com. Runs to the end of December.
All right, let's hop back into the inside scoop with all the good. I mean, just a little bit of bad, but it is what it is. I think this play, the Broncos defense definitely wants to have back. Jameis Winston, he looks out, he sees Pat on Jerry Jeudy, and he knows right now we're in man-to-man. And so they break the formation, and they go empty. But the crazy thing about this play is that they have a zero blitz, which means everybody's blitzing. All 5 guys up front, both linebackers, and then everybody else has to cover down. But with every zero blitz the Broncos have, there's a check that allows for one of the linebackers to adjust. Somebody needs to adjust, and I think that's what they're talking about here, PJ and Cody Barton. Nobody knows who's supposed to have this running back right here. But what you see is that Nick Chubb is wide open as soon as the ball is like nobody's even close to him because PJ Locke has this tight end here. I feel like I've written way too much on here. Can't go back. PJ Locke has the tight end. Cody Barton blitzes. Stranad blitzes. Everybody up front blitzes. And you leave Pat Surtain on Jerry Jeudy. And nobody has Nick Chubb right here. So that's what leads to this wide open touchdown. Is we didn't make the adjustment we needed to on defense. Nobody came out of the blitz to guard the running back man-to-man. And I think that would have helped us out a lot. Maybe prevented this. We ended up winning the game, so everything is kosher. But, I think they definitely would like to have this play back.
Yeah, and it looks like it's PJ because PJ is the one chasing him. But if you look, David Njoku's open at the goal line.
Yes.
And so that's where PJ was initially.
Yes.
So he must have been in the right spot. Or, I mean, you would think he'd be in the right spot.
And, just for like matchup purposes, you would think you would want safety on tight end and backer on running back. And I'm not sure who's at fault, but I know that somebody is supposed to come out and get the running back.
Because it would all Good. They said after the game that there were communication issues because it was so loud, which is interesting because, I mean, that might have been the loudest crowd I've heard since I've started covering the team the past few years. It should be that way every game, but it's interesting. There's a lot going on here because they even have Malcolm Roach dropping out too.
Yeah,
like they have him dropping out, like helping in the middle. Could it be Dondre on the edge over there?
No,
they wouldn't bump him
have
out.
Asked him to do that.
Okay,
yeah. They would rather have the guys who are supposed to be rushing rush, and the guys who have covered before cover.
Okay.
All right, we talked about my man Nick Bonito. We got to talk about my guy Jonathan Cooper. Nick Bonito's winning, getting chips. So is Jonathan Cooper. He gets a chip from the tight end here, and then he's able to win his style of rush. He's more physical than Nick Bonito is, just like his personality. And so he's not going to always win with speed. He's going to win physically, imposing his will on these tackles, and does a great job getting underneath this tackle, getting around him, using his physicality to wrap up Jameis Winston. 32-34, this is kind of like, where you have to be elite. Because if they're able to drive down right here, they're only down 2 scores. They only need to get to probably like their own 40-yard line. Like this is like a big play in the game, and Jonathan Cooper comes up with a big one and is able to get him tackled down right here. Hat off to Jonathan Cooper for making this play. And that's what you were talking about. There's so many guys that are being really, really special right now in the pass rush game. I don't know who you double team. I don't know who you chip. I don't know who you give help to because everybody can get to the quarterback.
Yeah. It's interesting. You get the chip, but that's also Jack Conklin who he's rushing against. Like, that's a real NFL tackle. You know, that's not like you're not beating up on somebody who doesn't know what they're doing.
Yep.
Great to beat him, but I'm curious. Is it hard for pass rushers when they don't know who's getting the double? Because it seems like if you just have J.J. Watt in the middle, you know, okay, center's taking him, guards help. Like, you've got those two, and so you kind of know what your angles are. When they're changing it play to play to play, does that matter at all?
It matters a little bit. Like,
Okay.
just I think lining up and knowing you have a one-on-one that makes your thought process a little bit easier because you kind of can have a two-way go depending on the games that are called. But also based off like alignment, you know where your potential double team or chip can come from. Like when Nick Bonito was lined up in a 7 technique and had the tight end very close. Okay, potentially I can get a chip here, so that way I know I can use it, or if I need to, you know, rush outside of it, I have to do so. But I think you have to be great at recognizing formations to understand when I potentially have a one-on-one, when I can get a chip, when I can get double team.
Okay.
All right, this is the big-time play right here by Jaquan, the game-sealing play. This really just ended it all. Like I said, it's 32-34. So in all actuality, they need about 10, 20, maybe 25 yards to be in position to win the game. They get 25 yards, they'll run out the clock, they'll bring on the field goal kicker, and the game is over. But this was a great play by him. He's inside out, he's breaking hard, and Jameis, thank you, Jameis, he throws the ball a little bit behind his receiver. But Jaquan does a great job of getting up, getting vertical, catching the ball at the highest point. And then after he makes this interception, he realizes, he hits the ground and realizes nobody has touched me. So he can get up and then take it to the house, which he does. That seals the game for the Denver Broncos. I think this was a big play from a big-time player that had a tremendous game, multiple PBUs, multiple big-time plays. I showed you that stop on 3rd and 1. Had a pick 6 here. Jaquan, I think he had one of his best games. And that says a lot for a guy who had some monster games last year.
Totally. I mean, this will go down as one of the best plays of his career. Like, if he plays another decade and plays really well.
Yeah, this is like highlight.
This
for
is
sure.
still like maybe number 1 on the highlight reel. It was a lot of fun after the game. Like, the first guy I talked to was Chris Abrams-Drain, who is obviously, like, he was so happy. Like, even though he had, like, the pass interference, he gave up the 3rd down catch, all that stuff, and he was still, like, giggling when I was talking to him. He was like, I knew on Monday I was going to get to play, and it was like, my whole family's watching, and, like, everybody at home. So he was having the time of his life.
With
so
his
I was
accent.
Like, exactly, I know. But it's so happy. But he was on the field for that play, and so I was like, I want from his eyes what happened. He was like, yeah, you know, like, obviously he has the boundary out there. And he said, like, yeah, I looked back and Jaquan was up in the air and he landed. Talking to Jaquan about it. So this play was right after the 2-minute warning.
Yep.
So during the 2-minute warning, he and PJ were talking. Apparently they had a long talk about they're both undrafted and how nothing's ever easy and this isn't going to be easy, but you just got to make a play. And literally the first play, Jaquan goes and does this.
Yep.
And I don't know. Jaquan also said he felt like he had been playing soft coverage all game. Like, even all that underneath stuff, he was kind of sitting back, and he had thought a few times, like, I just got to press up. I got to, like, try to make something happen. And this is the play he did it, and he decided to jump it and almost over-jumped it.
Yeah.
Like, the ball was behind. He had to reach back and grab it because it was honestly just a terrible throw. But makes the catch, goes down, said he didn't know if he was in bounds or not. He thought he was out of bounds, but then didn't hear a whistle and just got up and ran. And he also said he'd been telling everybody that his first touchdown, he's going into the crowd. So he went up in the crowd, and that was
mile high leap. Yeah, it was dope, man. It was a great play, and it was it really sealed the game.
It did.
It was over after that.
Yeah, I mean that's what football is all about. Like, especially in the NFL, was it 60% of games are decided by one score? Yeah. And so at the end of the game, typically one team has the ball and has a chance to go win it, and the other team has a chance to stop them. And so you just need guys who can make plays like this, and Jaquan did it. PJ's done it. Pat really hasn't done it because nobody's throwing at him in that situation, but that's valuable on its own. It's a good football team.
Got some dogs.
Before we get out of here, I'm thinking we need a little update on the Pro Bowl voting.
And Super Chats.
Let's hit Super Chats first, and then we'll see how much time we have left. Mile High Sing, what's being overlooked is how Bo could have had 2 passing touchdowns. Both were stopped at the 1, setting up the rush touchdown. Stats would have looked way different. So football isn't a stats sport. Like it's
not.
It's not.
What do you mean?
Like the stats typically don't add up to like what you're actually worth. Like especially as like a defensive guy, like a linebacker. Like how often is it just like your tackles equal your value as a linebacker?
They weigh pretty heavily in your value.
But it's not like
you can't have 50 tackles for a year and be like,
yeah,
he should be in the Pro Bowl.
That's fair. But you also have.
But you could say stats don't tell the whole story.
Totally.
I can say that.
Totally. In basketball, you have this guy puts up 24 points per game. He makes 48% of his shots. Like, he turns the ball over this much, has this maybe like the stats tell the story much better, I think, in basketball than they do. And then obviously you have baseball too, where it's just like how often are you hitting the ball?
I don't know, because
Really?
you think about Bo Nix and he's been winning Rookie of the Week for so many weeks is because of his stats. Like, he's putting up numbers. He's having 300-yard games and 3 touchdowns. Like, he's having 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Like, he's making play. Like, it's all stat driven.
But you also have like.
Then we were talking about Court. Like, we went down the list, and those are all stat driven.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's not worth nothing, but compared to other sports, it's like there's a lot that goes on. Like, you look at Javonte Williams, who's running for like 3.6 yards per carry, and does that mean he's like a bad running back, or does it mean like the blocking could be bad, or the passing game isn't stretching the field enough? Like, there's just so much that goes into it versus, again, 3-point percentage. How often do you make the threes? Batting average, you either get the hit or you don't, It's just it's more of a team game than the other sports.
It's definitely a team game.
It's a team game. Okay. We also, Mile High Sing again. Any news on when the Week 18 versus Kansas City will be on? No, I don't know exactly. They might be able to decide that week which game is the Sunday night football game. I don't know what the matchups are. You would imagine like NFC North. I'm not sure if the Vikings play the Lions Week 18, but that could be like for division. If the Steelers play the Ravens, that could be a big one. Yeah, we don't know yet, but Chiefs Broncos could be a big game.
Yeah, and the Broncos did a lot this week to kind of put themselves in position to have more primetime games. It was a great game. It was a shootout. It was electric. Like, there's an opportunity for the Broncos and the Chiefs game to have real playoff implications. It might get flexed.
Yeah, definitely. Josh Steele says, need a true difference-making one. Court is a great two. I'm kind of past that. I was right there with you. The thing is, he's an X receiver is what he does. Like, he's the guy you want to build your plays around. You isolate him, let him work one-on-one. I think this year you've seen growth there because Bo can throw over the middle, and so like the slants, the digs, all that sort of stuff. Like, he can run any route and win, which is rare. And so even if you do bring in somebody else, he's still probably your X receiver, which is like your number one spot. If you could bring in somebody who's fast to go on the other side, open things up, but he's your Demaryius Thomas or he's your Rod Smith, your Brandon Marshall. And if you can find somebody better, why not make the team better? But I don't think that's a need anymore.
I think just find a nice number 2. You guys are getting outrageous with these comments. He's top 10 right now in the NFL. I don't think there's any team that has 2 players in the top 10. So
true. Actually, not anymore. But when the Broncos played the Falcons,
they don't. So
Falcons had London and
no, there's
Mooney.
nobody.
Not anymore. Not anymore. Wilson the Ghost went to the game with my cousin. Last game he went to was 2011 Tim Tebow versus the Steelers playoff game. Crazy games only when we in the building. Well, come more because that was a fun one.
Yeah, for sure. That was a good one.
Nate Ace, y'all killed it. Looking forward to the week.
I appreciate it, Nate.
I know.
We'll be here all week.
We will. I think, again, it's the bye week means that there isn't a lot of like, obviously there's no game to talk about. So hopefully we can look ahead a little bit more of the offseason.
Yep.
So draft needs, free agents, look around the NFL a bit, see where the playoff race stands, maybe talk about the Broncos' ideal path to the playoffs. If they can get up to like the 5th or 6th seed, maybe like steal a home game in there. Should be fun though. And I wanted to ask you who the Broncos' biggest snub in the Pro Bowl voting was, because there are some awesome options. But we're out of time, and we'll hit that tomorrow along with a bunch of other stuff. And Any final thoughts?
Nope.
Not
Ready
one.
for the week.
Okay.
It's a bye week. We're chilling.
It is. We are chilling. 2 more days. And that'll do it for today. Like I said, we'll be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. again, and we will see you then.
We all silly like the mayor.